Hello friend, in the previous tutorials we have studied about the basic concept of programming language. We have studied that what is the programming language. But today we are going to study that what is the Arduino programming. So to start the Arduino programming, we have to know what is the basic concept of Arduino programming and what is actually Arduino programming. See, the Arduino programming is an open source platform which is used to perform the coding, and this coding is transferred by a USB cable by the Arduino board. So here we can see the Arduino programming having two more components. The first one is IDE, that is called the Integrated Development Environment, and second one is the Arduino board. So the programmer program into the IDE, Integrated Development Environment, and the program is transferred into the Arduino board by using the USB cable. So before starting any programming language, we'll have to study some basic concept of programming language, and this basic concept are what is the constant, variable, identifiers, operator, data type, and a special symbol. These are the basic terminology of any programming language. If you are interested to learn any kind of programming language, so very first you will have to know what is this terminology. So very first we are just going to study that what is the constant. What is the constant? In programming, what is the constant? In primary classes, we have already studied that what is the constant. Constant means the fixed value that cannot be changed. So the same here, the constant is a fixed value that cannot be changed at the time of the compile time. So the constant is divided into the two parts. The first one is called the numeric constant, and second one is called the character constant. The numeric constant is further divided into two parts. The first one is called the integer constant, and the second one is called the floating point constant. The character constant is again further divided into two parts. The first one is called the char constant and the string constant, and it is called the string literals also. What is the integer constant? Any value which varies between infinite, between minus to plus, that is called integer constant. Any value which varies between the minus infinite to plus infinite is an integer constant. What is the floating point constant? The floating point constant means that contain a floating value like 3.5, 9.2, etc. What is the character constant? Character constant means the value which contain only one single character, like it can be anything, A, B, either it's a small a or it's a capital A, etc. What is the string constant? The string constant means a combination of characters like any name, any address. It does not contain any one character, it contains a group of characters. That's why this is called the string constant. So I hope you got it that what is the constant. Constant means a fixed value that cannot be changed. Now the second one we are going to study that what is variable. The variable okay, the next term we are going to study about the what is variable. Variable is just inverse of constant. Constant means the value cannot change, but the variable can change. Okay, now in programming terminology, what is the variable? Variable is used to store the data. The data can be any type, either it's an integer, it's a floating, it's a character, or it's a string data. So the variable is basically used to store the data, like here a equal to 10, I am writing here a equal to 10, then 10 is a constant here and a is a variable. Why? Because a is used to store the data of 10. A is used to store the data of integer. That's why here a is called the variable. Similarly, we have many more character. We have many more variables like this. A equal to B. B is a character value here, and this character value is stored into the A. Similarly, A equal to 3.14. Here 3.14 is a floating value here, and which is stored into the variable A. So this concept is called the variable concept. The next one is called the identifier. Identifiers. In the programming language, it is very important to know about the identifiers. As the name implies that identifier. What is identifier? Identifiers means that anything, any name by which it can identify by its name. Like I have seen here A equal to 10. Then what is A? A is a variable. But how to identify this is a unique variable in the whole program by its name. So identifier means a name of your variable or function. The identifier is nothing. Identifier is just a name by which you can identify your variable, you can identify your function. If you are not using identifiers, it means how can you identify your function? If you want to identify your function, if you identify your variable name, then you need to use the identifier. Now, what's in the identifier? The identifier says only one, it should be only unique value in the whole program. Suppose if you declared a variable A in the program, so you cannot declare the same variable A in the whole program. So you need to separate your code, you need to separate your variables and a function name by using the identifier name. Now there are some restrictions to declare an identifier. What are the restrictions? The restrictions are your identifier name should be start with letters only. Your identifier name should be start with letters only. Suppose I have written number equal to 10. This is the right concept. Next, your identifier should not contain any space. Suppose I am writing your number 1 equal to 10. This is wrong because it contains the space. So you can declare like this. This is the right concept. Second, you cannot use this special symbol in identifier name except underscore. Like num plus 1 equal to 10. This is the wrong approach because you cannot use any special symbol in identifier name. If you want to use the special symbols, you can use only underscore. This is the right concept.